Hi, and welcome to our latest edition of Healthy Fayette County. I'm Trish Reibolt-Hapa, and I'm here as your moderator, and I have two very important guests today with me. I have Jason Troutwine, who is with Reid Health, and Linda Fitzgerald, who is one of our leaders with Healthy Fayette County. So, Jason, I understand there's this beautiful building coming up on Park Road. Tell us about it, please.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Trish. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Glad to have you.
And yeah, so we're working on a new facility. I don't know if anyone's heard about that or not, or
There's a rumor.
maybe there's a rumor out there. Or maybe someone's driven past it a couple of times. So yeah, so we are in the process of building a $100 million facility that will be on Park Road. And essentially that will replace the facility that is at Virginia Avenue. So, and we can talk a little bit about some of the details of this, but essentially those services eventually will move over to the new facility as well as a few others. And so that facility right now is slated to, as far as construction, be done about the end of the year, beginning of 2026. And we anticipate being able to see patients in the first or second quarter of 2026.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so it's exciting.
It is.
Bricks up, canopies, windows, drywall in some of the spaces.
The progress when you drive by, it's just amazing how quickly and how beautiful it is going to be. It's going to be a great addition. What kind of services? You say all the services will be still in the community?
Yeah, all the services that are in the community now will really remain in the community. And a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them will move to the new facility. So the new facility really has almost two buildings as part of it. So you have on essentially the north side of that property will be the emergency department and emergency services. So, which, that's a really exciting space for us, because one of the things that's going to be new is that we will have a helipad on the campus. So the helipad will actually be just on the east side, kind of in the back parking lot area of the new facility, and immediately adjacent to the emergency department. So if someone happens to need to be care flighted in, they can be, but if someone needs to be care flighted out, they can be. I think a lot of us know the current reality right now at the Virginia Avenue location is if somebody comes in and they need to be care flighted out to another facility, then that person needs to be put in an ambulance and then driven to the airport here in Connersville and then care flighted to that facility. When we think about someone who might be having a stroke, those seconds and minutes are really critical. And so to not have that middle component of putting someone in an ambulance and driving them to the airport, but instead wheeling them down the hallway and putting them immediately on a helicopter, that's going to save lives.
That's life-saving.
That's life-saving right there. And so if all other things, put them aside, that's enough of a reason to have this new facility. So in that area, along with the emergency department, there's some new technology that's kind of a post-pandemic situation that we'll be able to have, as far as, new construction means that we now have new information based on things that we've experienced in the last 5 years, and those things will be accommodated into the new design. We'll have some areas for mental health in the new design. I have some areas, we'll have a multi-faith room, chapel in the new design. So a lot of those aspects right in the ED area, and that will be immediately adjacent to radiology and to the lab, and we'll have a pharmacy in that space. So really a 24/7 emergency department will be part of that. And the other building will be a medical office building, and that'll have our primary care offices. It'll have our specialty care offices. It'll also have a little bit of a cafeteria space. We'll have a nice garden out front. So another place that you can kind of go and have a moment if you need it. And so we're really excited about the facility. It's looking really good. I toured it just a couple of days ago and got an update, and it's a nice space, really nice space. I think the community's going to be really proud of it.
Wonderful. And I heard something about the air handlers and you being able to change the air that you were...
Yeah, so you can get like negative airflow or reverse airflow, for example, if there was a pandemic kind of situation, or if they needed to do that. So that's an enhancement. And I'm probably... Jeff Cook, who's our director of engineering, is probably, if he's watching this, he's going to cringe. He's saying that's not exactly the way that you're supposed to say it, Jason. But essentially, that is enhanced technology that's new to this space. Again, a post-pandemic kind of thing. When you think about infection control, And so some really neat new technology going to be part of this building.
Well, you tell him we're lay people and we understand that better. So you're doing that great, because we're not physicians, but we're here to the consumers, and
Right.
we don't want to have to need the facility, but it's nice to know that if we need emergency care or if someone has an appointment with a doctor, they know exactly where their offices are. And there will be other doctors coming in from like cardiology.
Yeah, so that'll be part of the specialty area, specialty
Okay.
practice area, so, which will be on the second floor of that medical office building. And so that's where, for example, if you see a cardiologist, say, maybe Dr. McGinty or Dr. Haste is your cardiologist.
Or Dr. Doc.
Yeah, exactly, Linda. So versus having to drive to Richmond to see those cardiologists, they will be on a rotation where they will be here instead. Same thing's true for our orthopedic group, also for just various specialties at OBGYN, for example, just a myriad of specialty physicians and
Wound
providers.
care.
Wound care.
Wound care.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
So when they call and make an appointment, they can say, I would like to see when the doctor's in Connersville, and save them a half-hour drive.
Exactly
and
right.
That will be wonderful.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So those services will be available. And then also primary care will be on the first floor of that medical office building. And so some of the physicians that are here locally, for example, Dr. Du Bois and some of the groups some of the folks that are out on 44 Dr. Holmes, they'll be moving to the new campus, and that's where the
Okay.
primary care offices will be.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. And infusion therapy, I understand you will have a facility
Yeah.
for that?
Yeah, so that's really excited to be able to offer infusion therapy in the new facility. So that will be on the second floor as well, and it's really in a very pretty location of the building. And you think about those folks who are going in for routine treatment and what they're dealing with, for them to have a space to be able to receive that treatment where they can look out windows and look over Park Road and kind of watch traffic and have the sunlight coming in. So that's essentially what that space is going to be. It's kind of overlooking the entire parking lot for the campus as well as Park Road. And so just, I think it'll be a really nice area. Candidly, there were some questions of whether or not we'd be able to offer infusion therapy on the new campus, and we're really glad that we're able to make that accommodation, make that happen.
And I thankfully have not gone through that, but I've taken a friend to a facility, and so when she would sit there for 2 or 3 hours and be able to have the sun coming in and could see the trees and see the sun, it helps you mentally.
Oh, absolutely.
It helps you get through that time.
Yeah, it's amazing what seeing outside does for your mental health.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the mental health is as important as the physical health,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so having those two together, that's great. Now, what's going to happen do you need any volunteers that will be helping at this facility?
Yeah, so volunteer services is one of the areas that I'm proud to support. So we have Reid Health in general has a really strong volunteer group. We have nearly 150 volunteers who do all kinds of things on our main campus, but also can do a lot of things on this campus. And so, for example, folks that might want to be couriers, which are who deliver our mail, or everything from pet therapy to couriers to people who work in our gift shop on the main campus. There's a lot of opportunity for volunteerism, and there will be opportunities at this campus as well. So if folks are interested in that, they can get in touch with me, but they can also call Shara Short. Shara is the person who oversees all of our volunteer and our auxiliary, and she would be happy to have new volunteers here in Connersville.
And for all of you out there, Shara Short call it the Reid General number.
Yeah, or
And ask
if
for
you
her?
do email, it's Shara, which is SHARA .short at reidhealth.org.
Okay, that's great, because helping our own mental health comes from helping others.
Yeah.
And so we talk about how it's important to socialize and to feel needed. So instead of sitting at home and think, well, I'm just worthless, I'm not doing anything for the world, that's something you could do. It might be something simple, but it's something that is meaningful to whomever you help, and it serves it gives time for some of your employees to do what they're trained to do and allows them to do their job and somebody else to help out. So
Yeah, it takes a lot of
very
pressure off of
important.
our staff for volunteers to come in and help with whatever they might be doing. But I also think that, what you just said, Trish, is really important. That first of all, I'm hopeful that we're providing some connection and some purpose for the volunteers who are coming and helping us. But they also give that back to us. So when, for our team members to see that people are choosing to come in and volunteer their time, and our volunteers come in and they're smiling and they're asking about how their kids are doing, or that connection with our teams, it's really important as well. And so I think that often we receive way more from the volunteers than what they receive from us, but I'm hopeful that it's symbiotic in some
Yes.
way. Yeah,
I'm sure
it's a
there-
good program.
there is. So I know. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I
please.
was just interested in the ancillary services that are going to be at the local facility. Because I'm thinking that in the current building on Virginia, that my understanding is the walls are old, and so the equipment is not up to what the modern equipment is. So I'm interested in the services that other than ER and primary and specialty care, and also an equipment upgrade. I'm assuming there's considerable equipment
Do you mean, for
upgrade.
example, like radiology, imaging services? Is that
Sure.
what you're
Yes.
meaning? Okay.
I'm
yeah.
thinking of, when you're talking about looking out windows, when I had an MRI, I have to shut my eyes while we're going through the tube because it's like, oh, wow. But when I got my head out, they said, look up, and I could see out the window and see the trees and the sky. And it made that whole MRI experience tolerable. Not that I want to do it on a regular basis. So that kind of thing, that those kinds of services that we don't often think of, but are critically important in care.
Yeah, so you're specifically talking about some of the equipment. So some of the equipment from Virginia Avenue is really top-notch equipment that we've invested in, and some of that will move.
Since you bought it.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
some other pieces of equipment may not move. And so we're working through all of our plan right now, identifying, and we've already really identified a lot of those pieces of which pieces are going to move to the new campus because they're relatively new, we're still in contract, and that type of thing. And then what types of pieces will be new. So for example, new MRI. I believe one of the CT scans will be new. I believe another one might be moving over. So those are examples. So some of it will be new equipment, a lot of it will be new equipment, and some of it will be equipment that we're in contract with that is still current that can transfer over. And radiology is a perfect space for that. So is lab. Again, a lot of the lab equipment when we move over, but not all of the lab equipment. So, and when we need to, we'll invest in new.
Because my understanding, and I come out of healthcare from having been a hospital social service director, which is a totally different animal than if I'd been a nurse or a NP or physician. But the equipment is so important particularly in diagnostics.
Yep.
Being able to determine, it's like being a detective. I think about doctors and being diagnosticians is like being a detective. You can see what's on the surface, but you can't see what's down deep. So CT equipment, MRIs, all of those pieces.
Yeah.
And my experience says that with the speed of technology, that sooner buy a piece of equipment or contract a piece, and it's obsolete.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So just kind of give you perspective. I'm not clinical either. You're way more clinical than I am, Linda.
It's called Google.
So, but I've been in healthcare for off and on for over 20 years. And when we first moved to the new hospital from the old in Richmond, for example, I can remember I believe we were talking about 32 slice and 64 slice, CT scans. And so that's the number of times that's able to slice an image so that you can see if there might be cancer or whatever it might be in that image. So the more slices, the more times you get to look. And now it's, double or triple the number of slices that we were talking about just 15 years ago. And so you're right, that equipment, and we talk about it at new employee orientation when we meet with employees, and to say, hey, if you're new to healthcare, get ready, because technology changes that fast.
Right.
There's always something coming out that helps us, from a diagnostic perspective, helps us from a clinical perspective to be able to take care of patients in a better way than we did yesterday. And so, but the technology also means training. It also means calibrating. And so when we think about the move to the new hospital from Virginia Avenue, right, some of that equipment's going to move over. It's going to have to be calibrated. It's going to be set up. Some of the equipment's going to be new. It's going to have to be calibrated, set up. Our staff's going to have to be oriented on it, right? So that's why when we talk about we're going to be, building might be done, at the end of 2025 or at the very beginning of 2026. But we're going to have a long time, relatively speaking, months, maybe it's 3 or 4 months to be able to get our staff oriented, get our staff trained, make sure that everything's running smoothly before we start to even see the first patients in the new facility.
Sure.
So we're probably looking, sometime in the first or second quarter of 2026 when we'd actually start seeing patients. And so that timeline we're working on right now, but you're right, technology is a big part of that timeline.
And when we talk about technology, we talk about funding. And I know we don't get into politics or anything, but there's always talk, about funding of Medicaid and Medicare and things, and which of course directly affects your bottom line.
Yeah.
And reimbursement is something you can't just count on every day. You're going to get paid what it costs you to perform a service.
Exactly, yeah. So just like the technology, how it changes all the time, so does some of the things with legislation or with, what we might have to respond to, when in the reimbursement space. So yes, that's something that we spend a lot of time paying attention to, and we spent a lot of time this past session for the state, paying attention to that and seeing, what that might do to affect us. And then also, what's going on right now at the U.S. Capitol as far as, some potential cuts to Medicaid, which we're concerned about.
Sure.
And so we're having good conversations with the folks that make those decisions and letting them know how important healthcare is here in Connersville and East Central Indiana, and how they might be able to help us out a little bit.
And that's something that you can do at home. Is you are always welcome to contact your congressmen, your senators, and give them your opinions, because they do listen. They do write down, how many people called and they were in favor of this or they were against this. And if you can make that personal, if there's, if I've had an experience where, I didn't get this service because, Medicaid wouldn't cover it, then, make it personal and let them know.
I totally agree with you.
It makes a big difference.
It does.
So, I want to bring up something that came up at Coffee with the Mayor. Communities and the rumor mills that go on. And so one of the questions was, are you going to sell the new campus when it's built? Because that rumor has made the rounds. I think every Indianapolis healthcare facility has been rumored to going to buy the property. So can we put that rumor to rest?
Yeah, you can put that to rest. So that is not a conversation that's happening at all.
Great.
In fact, when that question was asked at Coffee with the Mayor, I think the person who asked it said, are you planning to market the facility? And when he said market, he meant sell. And I thought, market meaning, we want as many people to come as possible.
We're going
to market the facility. But no, the facility will not be for sale. The facility is our commitment to this community.
Is it state of the art? Would you say that
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
state of the art is healthcare?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's-
And I mean, to have that kind of facility in Fayette County, I get the fact that no, we're not going to have inpatient beds. That's the whole reimbursement piece. I think legislation says that something about 2 inpatient facilities within 25 miles of each other. So, and I know that bothers some folks, and having an ICU or CCU right at home would be nice. But if it's not going to be reimbursed, it doesn't make any sense. But to have a state-of-the-art ER, a helipad, which is exceedingly important, right there where all you have to do is go through the hallway door.
Yes.
And the specialty care, which is great. It's not that we're that far from Richmond, but if you don't feel good, you don't want to have to drive to Richmond.
Yeah.
And I mean, I applaud us having that. That's a real plus.
And we thank Reid for having the faith in our community and doing that for us, because it to have that, like you say, that kind of a facility right up the road. If you're really sick or you're in an accident, I mean, gosh, how great is that? I know we just have a few minutes left. I'm sure people are wondering what's going to happen with the old facility. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So our plan right now is to, once we move out, and again, there's going to be a lot of timelines, right?
Sure.
So when things move from Virginia Avenue to the new facility, when some of the other offices, move to the new facility and that kind of thing. But likely, at some point in time, at the end of 2026, and maybe even getting into 2027 a little bit, the Virginia Avenue facility, our intention is to raise the building, essentially demolish the building. And I know that's hard for some. I know there's a lot of memories there. Some may be good, some may be, sad. But it's part of the Connersville history. But bottom line is that facility really just isn't usable for a next life, and not reasonably anyway. And candidly, I was at Reid when we moved from the old Reid to the current campus, and we moved away from that old facility and we sold it to a group that I think was well intentioned and had hoped to do some things with that property, and that they didn't work out. And then I think we all know how that tale went. That building sat, there and basically became an eyesore for a long time. And we don't, you learn from things that have happened in your past, and we don't want that same fate to happen at Virginia Avenue, where we think that there, might be a next life, and so we, with good intentions, leave the building and then not work out, and then all of a sudden there's an entire, 2-block area where it's just
And everyone remembers it was your place, right?
And so instead, what we're planning to do is we're going to raise the building, and then we're going to do site remediation, and we're going to grade that all out. And our intention is to give that to Fayette, to the school corporation. And we've already had conversations with superintendent there. Really, the intention is for part of that to be a parking lot for Spartan Bowl, so that Spartan Bowl can be used to its maximum potential and be able to have some of those tournaments. Right now, that really parking's the issue to not have them, and so hopefully that barrier will go away and be able to get some tournaments here and some economic development from those tournaments. When people come to ball games, they also spend some money in your town. And so that's part of the intention. And the other part of that area will be green space that will give the school some flexibility to whether just keep that as green space or maybe it becomes a soccer field. I don't know. That's really for them to decide.
Right.
But that is our intention, is to turn that property over to the school.
That's great. And let's see, I haven't been in that building since, well, probably at least 60 years. So
Oh, wow.
So it's not that meaningful to me, but I know to other people it's saved lives, and people have been born. I guess I was born there, but more than 60 years ago, though.
The meaning for me is the old part, the red brick part.
Okay.
that was part of the original building. My office as social service director was formerly the doctor's John.
Repurposed.
And one of my associates, when she returned from working in Newcastle, the joke was that they gave her the shaft because it was the former elevator shaft
Oh, goodness.
turned into an office. So the new part of the building is not that sentimental to me. It's the original where the two rooms for the folks who were psych rooms. And it was when they would lock me in there. And I would say, don't go very far.
Don't go far.
But they're just memories.
Yeah, sure.
But
in those. So I hate to see that.
But it served the community well, and going on to bigger and better things, and we change. What the only real constant is change.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Well, and so you've got a lot of information. It is from the horse's mouth here. There is not going to be sold. It's going to be there to services, and as part of Healthy Fayette County, I know we always cover the Whitewater Valley Art Association, and just a couple reminders. There are classes coming up, the oil painting series by Terry Reno, stained glasses with Gary Rubendahl, junk journaling with Judy and Janine, and mandala dot painting by Curtis Potter Sr. Those are Saturday classes. Also, Thursday evenings, there will be an introductory to digital photography. So there are a lot of things going on there, and of course, new displays every month. And encourage you to check out their Facebook page, or also when you're looking in the window or visiting the gallery, they will have postings of what's going on. And Linda, just a few minutes, you want to tell us what's going on in your world? I think there's an art stroll coming up and probably a few other things.
There will be another art stroll on the 13th of June.
Okay.
And the theme is the 1960s with Woodstock. I didn't go to Woodstock. Contrary to the rumors floating around, I did not. And the Beatles.
Okay.
So we will have two great musical groups. One is the IPA band. The other one is Rubber Soul. Rick Coleman and his group, and all of their music fits. We hope to have some artists because we've started the 4th Street Art Fair. So 4th Street is closed from the opening to the Canal House parking lot to Central Avenue. So that area is closed. Trish is great to do some art on the sidewalk called hopscotch.
Hopscotch.
And
that's the extent of my artistic ability.
And there's room for people to dance. We encourage folks to come dressed in the 60s. That's your tie-dye, your bell-bottoms, and just enjoy the evening.
Yes.
And of course, we're gearing up for Blue Zones, working on the whole Blue Zones project. And we're excited about that.
Yeah.
We have to raise the money, but
Yes.
we will do it.
Yes. That's
So,
wonderful.
and I will be talking with Jason at length.
Okay.
That sounds exciting.
Yes.
It is
It
exciting.
Hear
does.
about it a little bit earlier. It sounds great.
Yes, and I already have my tie-dye GFWC shirt out ready to wear, and we appreciate all that you're doing with the Healthy Fayette County, which is a group including my club, the GFWC Fayette County ESO, Seven Mountains. We have the Connersville Parks and Recreation, the Whitewater Valley Art Association.
Purdue.
The Purdue Extension. We just have a list of many people who are involved, and we want to make it a more healthy community and a more vibrant community, because a healthier community with healthier people are healthier employees, so it helps the businesses, it helps our economy. And we do have a great place, and we have a wonderful community that we should all be proud of. I'm a proud CHS graduate, and I'm just love this town. It's the best, and we have a new facility coming we just can't wait for. So I thank you both so much for your
My pleasure.
time and for being with us today.
Great. Thank you,
We'll
Trish.
see you next month.